Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Boy and Girl Show. Welcome, Cece. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm surviving. It's
Mm-hmm.
been a little rough. I don't know if a lot of people, if they know whether or not, but I have COVID, and
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really disclosed it, but I've had it for 3 weeks now, and
Okay.
it's been tough, been real
Yeah,
tough.
we've been praying for you. I prayed for you on my show, so at least
Thank
my
you.
listeners know that you have COVID for sure. We're gonna get through this show, and we're gonna get you out of here and to bed. So if you have not listened to the Boy and Girl Show before, actually, what am I doing? We should be on Instagram. My name is Dr. Christopher Salute, and I am a life and relationship coach here on the Going Bold Network. Super excited to be hanging out with Cece Shatz. And Cece, I'm sure you can introduce yourself.
Oh, yes, I am Cece Shatz. Yoo-hoo! Here I am. I am the Doyenne of Relationship Building. I am a divorce, dating, and a life coach, and I'm also the owner of the station here. I did have something flash by saying it wasn't recording, so this show may not be recorded. So you better catch it
Oh,
now. I don't know what the problem is, but I can't get off of it to find out. So we'll
oh
have
shoot.
to hope that everything is okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Nana. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I am starting to feel better. I'm actually going tomorrow to take another COVID test to see if I'm finally negative, because I have been in lockdown for like 3 weeks here in my house.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst. I had
yeah.
COVID for about, I don't know, Manna had COVID for a while too. I had COVID for, I don't know, 6, 7 days. And then I've now just been still feeling the residual effects of it for sure. But you know what helps me feel better when I have COVID is when somebody understands my love languages and they
Yeah.
share with me in a way that is helpful. Now, have you taken the love languages test in a while, Cece?
No, I haven't. I did take it like a long time ago. I'm going to add to our screen here. I did the little slide. That's another thing about COVID. It makes you give you spacey mind, and I have a
The
spacey mind
brain
anyhow.
problem is real. I've been telling folks for a long time, my superpowers are twofold: my enthusiasm and my brain. And when you give me COVID, it takes away my enthusiasm and my brain. So I'm so sorry to hear that your brain's been
Yeah.
taken
So I made this slide here for us, and to talk about what they are, because a lot of people may not know what the love languages are.
right.
So there are words of affirmation, quality of time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. And
Now,
this is Dr. Chapman's 5 languages of love.
now, when did you last take that test, Cece?
Oh gosh, long time ago,
You
long,
should
long
take
time
it again.
ago.
It changes.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And then also there's I don't have the name of it, but there's another test that I want to share with you. I'm going to be
Okay.
taking. So we'll do that on another show, but I think
Yeah.
that might be interesting for people.
Yeah. In
So
preparation for this show, I took the love languages test. I'm talking on the Instagram, folks. I took the 5 love languages test, and then I took the Enneagram test too. Which Shaylee, if you listen to the show, you'll be happy that I took it because she's been telling me I have to take it for a long time, and Jackie, my roommate's been telling me to take it for a long time too. It's kind of like a more in depth. There's like 9 different types of personalities, just the way that you kind of love and care. But the 5 love languages, I found these change very often. Well, not very often, but as often as you change.
mhm.
I found my 5 love languages to be at the top was words of affirmation. Number 2 was acts of service. Number 3 was physical touch. Number 4 was receiving gifts, and number 5 was quality time. But Cece, I'm sure if you've taken this test, you can figure out the answer pretty quickly. They don't ask questions that are very subtle. They say, "What's more important, my partner spending time with me or my partner touching my butt?" And you go, "All right, my partner touching my butt." Okay, physical touch. And then they say, "What's more important, my partner touching my butt, my partner giving me a gift, partner giving me a gift?" So you got to figure it out, right? I could have told you halfway through the test what the story was.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think I know what mine is. I think mine is probably quality time. It's probably the
Yeah,
number one, and physical touch, and probably then acts of service.
acts of service.
Um,
Okay.
Now, the guy that I'm dating, I kind of think, and since we're on the subject of comparing love languages, I
Yeah.
think his is very similar to mine, but I think his is more of the physical touch and the acts of service.
Well,
He's very big into acts of service.
you're hot, so of course he's going to want to physically touch you. I hope he's not coming near you when you have COVID, though.
No, and he's actually been a trooper because I mean, think about how long I've had it, and he's been so gracious about, not only and this is something I will share, but not only the fact of not being able to see each other, but he's maintained strong communication with me, but he's also limited himself on things that he does, to make sure that I don't feel insecure about the relationship, which I think is very touching.
That's super important. It's interesting. So recently with COVID, I had COVID, and I've had so many different people reach out, and I'm still narrowing the field, still trying to narrow who my my partners are, but I've kind of partnered up a little bit, and I'm excited about it. And the acts of service and the gifts really helped. Whether it was sending me a meal to feel better, or sending me tissues and medicine. When you can't physical touch and you can't have that quality time, which for me is low on my scale anyway, those things really made me feel better. The words of affirmation when I was feeling down, I didn't need to know that I was hot or whatever, or cute while I was feeling terrible. But what I needed to know was that I was cared for, and it really, really made a difference. And we'll talk about that, Tim. We'll also talk a bit about when your love languages don't match up, because there are some articles, Cece, on what happens if your languages don't match up. Because it sounds to me like you want to spend some time, you have some quality time going, but your partner is more of a physical touch guy.
Right. And that's so important if you're going to be, if you need to be together, and he or she doesn't think that it doesn't really matter whether you're together. It's like, well, wait a minute.
Right. So it's interesting. So I always say this. So I definitely have more of a poly brain. So I definitely, I tend to date around a little bit more than other folks, but more importantly, I'm also easily distracted. So I have my friends and my emails and stuff like that. One of the things that my partner needs to be able to do is to allow me to look at my phone throughout the day. And that cuts into the quality time. So for me, that's why quality time isn't that important for me. And I struggle with a partner whose number one is quality time, because I want to look at this thing and check my emails, and they don't want me to do it. So there's some compromise that takes place, right? So
right, and you can do that. You can say, hey, why don't you take some time to check on your message? Because actually, I done that. I said, that I want him to be present when we're together.
Right. Right.
And so, I don't really want him sitting on his phone all the time, checking his messages, because are those messages really that important? I mean, I get it, like, a family member or somebody like that, you see come through and you want to check the message, but do you really need to know that, you've gotten a free,
whatever.
Toilet paper or something, I don't know. Or like, in my age group, we're constantly getting those Medicare, those Medicare emails. Do you really need to know that about your Medicare email? I mean,
you need to know about your car's extended warranty at this exact moment.
Yeah, that's right. You need to know about that. You don't need to know. So anyhow, but it is true. It is true. You have to really make some allowances, really, if you're not on the same love language, and then understand, right?
Well, yeah, and I want to talk about that too. So I pulled up a couple of articles here. Signs your love languages don't work. I should have sent them to you, but I just pulled them up right before. But really, so what do you do? What do you do when your love language? So my love languages, I think, are very unique for a guy, because physical touch is third. I find that most of my male friends are all about physical touch, number one, right? So words of affirmation for me, and then acts of service for me. I tend to date women who physical touch is one of their biggest ones. And for me, because of my history and because of what's going on with my body, physical touch is down there. So what do you do? I mean, how do you, Cece, talk to your partner and say, look, I understand that physical touch is important to you. It's not a love language of mine. And how do you navigate that? Or do you just say, look, we're not compatible?
Well, I guess if it's really that far out, you're probably going to end up being like that,
Right.
because you're going to feel shortchanged, right? So, there has to be some understanding with regards to it on both levels. So, for instance, if her is physical touch and yours isn't, hers is physical touch and you care about her, then guess what? You're going to be touching her a whole lot more than you really care to, maybe. But
And I find that too. So a lot of my partners, they like casual physical touch, not just intimacy, not sexual intimacy, but physical touch in touching your butt or your hips or your back or giving you a hug or a kiss. And for me, I could still love you with you on the other side of the room. Now I will say this, I like physical touch in a way like, let me put my legs over your legs while we're watching a movie. Let me put my head on your lap. You put your head against my chest. So I guess I do like that in other ways. But it doesn't mean that I don't love you if I can't do that. So that's definitely a challenge. I will say this. What if, Cece, so words of affirmation is big for me. How do you navigate that? So you've got somebody who's their number one love language is words of affirmation, and their partner is a little stingy with their words. And
okay, so let's talk about that. What is words of affirmation to you? What is that?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it's anything from I love you to you're wonderful to, I think it depends on communicated. Yes, we could talk about that for sure. To, one thing that's very interesting for me is, sorry, I'm sharing the video on Instagram. One thing that I think is very interesting for me is it's not always about telling me I'm attractive. I used to say, my number one and number two used to be physical touch and words of affirmation. So I used to say, hey, just touch my butt and call me pretty, right? But I will say this now, it's not always like that anymore, because I'm in this situation where it's just, because of what has happened to me in my past and that kind of stuff, and because a lot of folks, when I'm trying to get something out that I think is very intelligent and people keep calling me attractive, don't call me attractive right now. I'm trying to show you my brain. So I find words of affirmation to be more of, I'm really proud of you for what you've done. I love you. I have deep respect for you. I admire this thing you did, or even praise for, hey, you handled this situation with us together properly. So that, I think, has been kind of where I get my words of affirmation. It doesn't necessarily need to be, I think you're a hot piece of whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
mine are not that. I mean, no? I like to be told that I'm pretty. I mean, I like to be told that, I've got a brain on my, on my shoulders. And I mean, I'd like to be told those things, but it's not a big thing for me.
Yeah. So that's a challenge. That's a big challenge. I find that, when you're not, like I say, when you're as stingy with your words of affirmation as I am with my physical touch, sometimes it creates a huge barrier. So I have pulled up an article that says 11 signs that you are, that your love language doesn't match up with your partner. So there's a couple here that I thought maybe we'd chat about. Okay. Number one says you often feel misunderstood. So have you been in situations where you're with your partner and you feel like you're misunderstood and you can attribute it to love languages?
I think with my ex-husband, I think I felt that way. Because our love language was very different from each other. And and I think that his was the words of affirmation. And for me, I've always like compliments and things like that. I'm not comfortable with a lot of compliments. Right. So therefore I don't give a lot of compliments. I mean,
you have a hard time. And that's so interesting. I don't mean to cut you off because, and by the way, if you're watching us on TikTok, you are watching just a little bit of the Boy and Girl Show. If you want to catch the rest of the show, though, we're only on for a little bit, so you're going to want to check us out It's right on my Shoreby. You can click on those links, check on Going Solo Radio. You'll find us there. You can check us out on YouTube or on Facebook and engage. Like, give me some stuff to talk about, folks. So we were just talking about when your love languages don't match up. And what did you say, Cece? I want to hit on that.
I said we got some really good comments here.
Oh,
we'll put them up in a minute and go through them. But I said that because I feel uncomfortable when someone gives me compliments.
Yes.
It's harder for me to. But I have found that I am doing that more with the partner that I have now, because I really do feel that,
Yeah.
And I think maybe with my ex, I didn't quite feel it as much. Well, I have to say. I mean, I did it maybe in the beginning, but I just appreciate it more because I've been hurt so in relationships, and so now I feel like I'm in a good one, and I'm very appreciative of that. So,
of course.
I don't know.
So we're talking about so Cece just said basically that she has a hard time. So words of affirmation is my number one love language. And Cece says she has a hard time giving compliments because she has a hard time receiving compliments. Now, I have a hard time receiving certain compliments if the compliment isn't genuine, right? I've had people, it's stupid. When I was like balling and I was buying people dinner, I would make a joke and like the whole table would laugh and I'd be like, all right, I'm not that funny. Like, cut it out, because I'm buying you dinner. But when someone compliments me in a way that plays to my strengths, I can accept that. If somebody says to me, look, that was a very intelligent thing you just did, or that was charismatic, or that was great the way you handled the emotions of that situation, I know those are things that I do very well, right? If somebody said that you lectured well, you taught well, or your presentation was good, those are things I know I do very well. If somebody compliments me on my, in the bedroom, I'm pretty good at that. These are things that I'm okay with. Now, if somebody says, look, you've got just the hottest, most sculpted body on the planet, bro, I know I got a dad bod. Call it what it is, So it's easy for me to accept those compliments. And as you learn to accept those compliments, you're able to give those a little bit back. I was in a situation, Cece, with actually a throuple. It was me and two women were dating. And we just did like a compliment like sandwich. We just like complimented each other for a solid couple of hours. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful for a lot of reasons, but we talked about how great we were. And each of us went and each of us enjoyed our compliments. And it was honestly one of the most beautiful things. But
did they really mean it, or did they just say it because you want to hear it?
No. We were having a conversation about, it was a bit of people needed assurances. It was fresh. And people needed a bit of assurance, as in, do you really like me? Are you only here because this woman's here? Are you here because this man's here? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I said, look, we're going to take some time. We're going to talk about all the great things about each other. And we did. And you could tell when someone's genuine or not, at least what I think. Take a breather. So Bree on my TikTok says, I feel like our love languages change when we change. With my ex, my love language is quality time. It's not that now. No, absolutely. So you're not wrong there. My love language is completely changed based on, who I am. And I think, Cece, you would probably agree, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like quality time, maybe it's because now I really want to be with somebody.
Right. Right.
When I was with my ex, our relationship was so strained that I'd rather him be on a business trip.
I'd rather you be on a business trip. Just send me food. Just send me pizzas and tell me I'm pretty. That's fine. That's all I want. Right. But it's true.
It wasn't always like that. But at the end, it was like, yeah, just go away.
But it's hard, though. And I agree with that. It's hard when your love language doesn't match up with somebody else's. It's, for example, so quality time for me is my number one. It's the hardest thing for me to do. Actually, just recently, I was talking to somebody who, we were just getting to know each other. And she said, look, here's what I need from you. I'm going to need FaceTime every 3 days, on camera. Now, if you know me, any partner that I've had, they know that I try so hard. I can't focus that much. So I like to be on the phone so that I could just be fiddling with my thumbs. Now I'll do FaceTime, but I can't do it every 2 days. I could do it once a week. But I need to be fiddling with my thumb or walking my dog or playing with my microphone, whatever it is I'm doing. And so it's really challenging. And so my partners, have kind of known that. Quality time is a big thing for me. And plus I'm a workaholic, so that's super challenging too. But I think that part of understanding each other's love languages, Cece, is knowing where to compromise, right? So I've had partners that have said to me, look, I get it. You're a busy dude. Let me just sit in the room while you're getting work done. Let me come to your store and I'll watch you put it together. I'll help you put it together, and then we go get lunch, or I've suggested, hey, come with me, come to the store, pick out some items you like, help me stock the shelves, and then we'll go get lunch. Or come on this business trip because shoot, I'm only at the conference for 6 hours. You can go lay at the beach and we can kind of hang out that way. How do you feel about that? What are the compromises there? Or do you think, no, I'm going to give you quality time, you're going to give me the smooches, and that's how it goes?
Yeah, I think it's quality time. It's not always about being active with each other. It's just being kind of present with each other. But I think the real thing is that wanting to be with the other person.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it if someone comes along and they don't really want to be there. Like my kids, when I take them shopping or something, it's like, okay, Mom, we'll go, and I'm thinking, oh, we get to spend time together. No, forget it.
I'll give the folks on TikTok a cliffhanger, actually. So I will tell you the worst story about quality time, but here's what you got to do. My friends, you're on TikTok. I'm going to get you halfway through the story, and then you're going to have to join us on Shoreby on the link. So you're going to have to go to Facebook and go to Going Solo Radio, or go on YouTube and hit Going Solo Network and type in 5 love languages. So you're going to hate me. You ready for this, Cece?
I like this one here. She says her love language is when someone respects that.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate quality time by myself.
Yeah. Let's go through all those comments in a second. Good call. Yeah. So here's the story. You're going to hate me. So if you don't hate me already, you're going to hate me. So it was towards the end of my marriage, and my ex-wife and I were having a ton of problems. And look, if you know me, you're going to know a couple of things. I'm decently attractive. I got a dad bod. I like tacos, and I'm always accountable, right? So I am going to be accountable for this. Okay. So wait, hold on. Bree says compromise is key. Yep. And what, Destiny, why did you say you'll just go now? Did I do something wrong? So here's what happened. So we're towards the end of our marriage, and we were just having family problems and marriage problems and like all sorts of problems. And a lot of it was because we were young. A lot of it was because I was super cocky back then. I was way arrogant. A lot of it, I didn't think she communicated properly, but she was a great person. Absolutely. I adored her. And we went on a cruise with her family, and I felt as though her family wasn't treating me with the respect that I, as a 28-year-old man, idiot, deserved. So what did I do halfway through the trip? You're going to have to find out when you come on our show TikTok, and I will tell everybody else. So come on our show. It's right on our profile, and I'll tell everybody. Just go to goingsolomedia.com or go to Facebook and type in WGSN, or go on YouTube and type in Going Solo 5 love languages, and you'll find us. All right. Thanks for tuning in. You guys rock. Folks rock. Whoops. So here's what I did.
Did you jump ship?
No.
I'm out of here.
Here's what I did. It was the worst thing I could possibly do. We were on a 10-day cruise with my ex-wife and her family. And about 3 days into the trip, I got the Wi-Fi package on the cruise. Now, if you've been on a cruise, you live in Florida, right? You don't get Wi-Fi on the boat, right? Mm-hmm. I got the Wi-Fi package, the unlimited Wi-Fi package, and I start checking my work email from day 3 on the boat. And I didn't stop until the cruise was over, because I knew. Well, I didn't know back then, but I knew it would make it. I knew it would tick her off, not tick her off, but protest language. I knew that she would understand I was protesting, and I knew that she loved my undivided attention, and I knew that being a workaholic would kind of tick her off. It was the worst possible thing I could ever do. I felt so hurt that I just wanted to absorb myself in my work on a cruise with the person I love. It was terrible. That's how to not get somebody.
So where did that get you?
The divorce.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you want to go through some comments?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to bring it back up. Let's see where we. Okay, let's just start from the beginning. Amanda says, I think it depends on communication expectations.
I will say that. I will say communicated expectations are super important. I think in any partnership that I've been in, or continue to be in, if you can stop and communicate and be like, whoa, let's take an inventory here. What's up? Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Right? I think that's super huge. I think it's really, really valuable, no matter what. It'll help you get through those love language barriers. Let's see what Brianna says. Words of affirmation.
Go ahead. You read it.
Words of affirmation is definitely the trickiest one because it can't easily be merged with another love language. Oh, interesting. Let me think about that for a second. What do you think, Cece?
I think they're right. I don't think you can because, touch and gifts
I don't know. I have used some words of affirmation in the bedroom that I thought were pretty loving and powerful. So I don't know about that.
Okay, all right. Let's go on with this one.
Kiriva says, my love language is definitely physical touch. I want to be in your skin if possible. No, I've been there. But words of affirmation for me to receive are really hard, and I'm really giving. And if I'm giving them, it is only when I put genuine effort out there. It's only when I recognize that is your love language. So I must be more vocal about how I feel. Yeah, that's challenging for sure. It's definitely challenging when you have that, when you have that affinity to not, use those words of affirmation and somebody's asking you to use them. It's really tough. Brianna says, my love language is when somebody respects that I appreciate quality time by myself. That's important. I don't know. For me, quality time's not a real thing. For me, it's not a problem for me because I don't know. I'm of the belief that, and Cece, you're going to differ because you like quality time. It sounds like I'm going to say, and look, you're a little wiser. You've got some more years on you.
But quality time can be anything. It can be just talking on the phone. It can be being together. Communicating. It can be just listening.
Yeah. Sometimes though, I want that time by myself so that I can come back to you at the end of the day with something to talk to you about. Right. If we're hanging out all day, what can I tell you? You were there, so that's
but that doesn't, quality time doesn't mean that you have to be with someone 24/7.
Right.
It just means that when you're with them, you're with them. You're not, you're not doing something else and you're preoccupied with something else because why bother be with them?
That's fair.
Yeah, like you were on the cruise and you took the Wi-Fi package just to escape. Really, is what you did, and that's not spending quality time with someone.
No.
Let's see.
Kiriva says you have to recognize when somebody can't meet your needs, and you can choose to love them for exactly who they are, or no, that person is probably not meant for you. Yeah, it's true. We've all been there, right? We come to a point. Here's what I say about this, right? And Cece, I don't know how you feel that. You're gonna put yourself in a situation. You're gonna say, am I willing to compromise on this? Is this person worth it in all the other areas to compromise this, or are they not? And if they're not, then they're not. But if they are, they are. And here's the thing too, Shariva, to your point, tell me if you think I'm wrong, Cece. Once you've decided that you're going to compromise on that, you can't keep talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, let's say, Cece, you and I are dating, right? And I say, you know what, Cece, I like your hair brown more than I would like it blonde. All right, well, that's not changing, but there are 99 million other things about you that I love, right? I can't keep bringing up the hair thing if we've decided that's not going to change. Wrong, right? What do you think?
But that's not words of affirmation. That's an insult.
Right.
And it's like, okay. Well, I will tell you, okay, my ex-husband said to me one time, why can't you look like Christy Brinkley?
Well, then go date Christy
and
Brinkley.
I said, because I'm not her, and you don't have a big enough wallet.
Yeah. You're like, why don't you have the wallet of Chevy Chase then?
I know. So like words of affirmation. His was words of affirmations, and I'm thinking, and I remember thinking to myself, how could you say something so tacky,
terrible,
like that? Because that was an insult. So that's not words of affirmation.
So let's say like this then. Let's say your number one love language is physical touch, right? And your partner isn't, right? In my opinion, your partner can compromise a little bit, right? A little bit. But you have to decide, I think, as a partner, look, it is clear that we don't match up on this physical touch thing. I'm going to have to get a dog or a weighted blanket, or I'm going to have to get the touch where I can. I'm going to have to know that they love touching me when they do. And then I can't keep bringing it up. Every time we get into an argument, I can't bring up the physical touch thing because that's it. We've talked about it, and know that there are other fine qualities they have. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think it gets to the point where is the person really suited for you? Because it'll get annoying,
Yeah.
And it'll get to where, like, if there's these words of affirmation and you don't feel that about them, how are you going to give them words of affirmation? How are you going to constantly compliment them or constantly say something to them when you don't feel that way about them?
Right.
And so it's not it's not only just not matching on their love language, but are you really compatible as a couple?
Yeah, no,
it goes deeper. I think deeper in that.
Yeah, Jesse Villagomez says, I need both touch and words, but for me, it's the smallest things that she'll love. For example, remembering how I take my coffee or like my eggs. See, I love that. Mm-hmm. For me, it's an acts of service thing. That's one of my number one or number two. Knowing, even just making the coffee for me. Even I don't care if you made it wrong. Just knowing that when I wake up in the morning, I love a cup of coffee. Making that for me is fantastic. But it sounds to me, Jesse, that you're even in the weeds a little bit more, which is great. I'm more of a big picture person. You show me you cared enough to make me coffee, or that I've even had people get it wrong. Right? I'll say I love Marvel movies, and somebody will rent Batman, which is a DC movie, right? But it's still a comic book movie. And I go, you know what? It's cool. You got it. You know what I mean? You figured it out. But you're liking the particulars in how they take their eggs or their coffee. And I think that's really sweet. I think that's really nice. And you get to know that, Cece, in a long relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's building a relationship. Let's go back to that one and make sure that we covered it. Okay, it's building a relationship. When you know your partner likes something, and it should give you pleasure to actually do that.
Yes.
Do those things for them, and then remembering certain things. It's touching because they've taken the time out to remember it, to even care enough about it. I was watching a show here recently. It's one of those silly shows where you meet somebody and you move away. They're
100-day fiance or whatever.
90 days, whatever. Yeah. And so anyhow, and the guy is asking for permission. The hand to marry from the father, and he looks straight at him and he goes, "Do you know her favorite color?"
Right.
No, he didn't know her favorite color. Do you know her favorite food? No, you don't know her favorite food.
Right.
So it's that kind of stuff. You're building a relationship, and you're building something of quality. Let's see here. She talks about quality time is often not met, appreciated, because it's confused with quality time versus the actual quality of it. Yes.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. And now I understand that a little bit better, because I do need my time away, but I can put the phone away. I can put the tech away for a couple of hours while we watch a movie, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have smaller bits of quality time together and make them good quality time where you actually spend time together. Yes. So my idea of quality time is not watching you watch golf. I had a guy that I was dating, and that was his big thing. He liked to watch golf, and I have to sit there and watch him watch golf. That's not quality time together. We have a lot of comments here, and I want to thank you so much, because look at this comment. The time it takes you to write this out, it's so touching that you guys are giving us comments like this.
Yes.
Look at that. I mean, that is so touching that you take the time to really share what you're 100%. Thinking, how you're feeling. We appreciate that.
So here, want me to read that for you?
Yeah, you want to read it? Because you're a fast reader.
Yeah. Riva says, my problem with words of affirmation is people can't think it's only about your physical presence, that you want to be called pretty, sexy, all the things. But if someone's giving me a compliment, I want them to compliment my heart and my soul and my intelligence. And I want them to compliment the things that I've done and accomplished. So although I do not mind telling someone that they look attractive if they are beautiful, because I truly believe they are, and I would rather compliment someone so. I 1000% agree. So one of my issues with words of affirmation. But if you take the love languages test recently, Shariva, I don't know if you have recently, it felt different. They focused a lot more on accomplishments, on intelligence, on emotions, complimenting things that were not just physical appearance. And I really liked that. So because of who I was and all that playboy status that I had, or whatever you want to call it, I really don't like when I look. Do I like being called hot once in a while? Yeah, especially lately with COVID, I haven't been feeling myself. I feel like my muscle tone is gone. So you call me hot, yeah, I like that. But I feel more of a sense of pride in myself when you say something like, you know, Christopher, I watched your show with Cece, and let's say, for example, Cece, let's say you're really under the weather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, they could tell Cece had COVID, and you really carried that show. What a good friend you are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That to me would say, look, you spoke well, you were caring and kind, you were nurturing to your friend. You know what I mean? Like, those are the types of things that I want to hear. I mean, and then if they maybe added on the end, and you look pretty cute doing it too, all right, that's all I need. You know, that's all I need. But I agree, Shariva, it's not about just the physical appearance. I'll read this one. You want to read it?
Go ahead, you can read.
I think it's important to not put all your needs onto one person. Amen. Let's talk about that. Your person should want and try to give you what you need, but it isn't always possible, and there should be grace for that. And I agree with that.
That is really good. Really good.
Super important. So that's one of the reasons that it's hard for me to accept gifts, because you know, I went from making a lot more money in New York in corporate than coming in Nevada and being in academia. So for me to accept gifts, I feel funny, because I feel like, oh, I should be able to buy myself this stuff, you know? So it's challenging. Same reason when somebody compliments me on certain things, I go, well, I guess I can accept that, because I kind of feel that way myself, you know? When somebody here's the thing. When someone does an act of service for me, though, to me, that is the coup de grace of understanding me, because I try to fit 26 hours into a 24-hour day. And if you recognize that and you say, look, I'm not even going to listen to you. You're not even going to tell me. I heard you say that you need to go to the grocery store and pick up milk because your milk went sour. I made an Instacart order. I ordered you $30 worth of groceries. I figured you'd need some milk, some eggs, something like that. To me, that would be like, oh, hot, just super hot.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I'll tell you, when I was sick, my boy, I hate to say boyfriend because I'm so old, you know, I feel like,
no, that's okay.
But anyhow, but he said, I'll make dinner tomorrow night. Don't worry about dinner tomorrow night, which is great, because I was hardly even eating. But he did, and he brought over everything, and he brought over, you know, the food and stuff. And I thought it was so sweet because he brought over 2 different drinks. He put it in a bag, you know, knocked on my door, and then kid, you know, so I could get it. But I thought, how sweet. He went to the trouble of putting 2 different drinks. So I didn't know what you wanted to drink. And I thought, you know, that's really going the extra mile. So I was very touched by that. So, yeah, I mean, I think even if it's not, like, gifts are not really my love language. I mean, do I like gifts? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you forget my birthday, you're in serious trouble, you know, that kind of thing. But it's being thought of, you know, to me, it's more of being thought of. But, you know, we all like gifts. So I think we all like elements of all of these languages. And I think that's important to make sure that we understand that we shouldn't miss out on any one of these languages, because we all need to be complimented from time to time. We all need that physical touch from time to time. We all need to be together with each other. And, you know, getting a thoughtful gift is truly a touching thing. So it doesn't hurt to cover all your bases. If you don't know exactly what their love language is, just do a little bit of everything, and then you're on safe ground.
That's super fun. Valentine's Day is coming up, gentlemen, so remember that. That's fair.
Yeah. We have some more. This one here I thought was really sweet. Yes, knowing your partner, a sign is knowing the love language is a sign of love, and I think that's true. I missed this one here. I believe love language are important to know and understand, but I also think partners sometimes use love languages as an excuse to not compromise, saying things like, you know, that's not how I am.
Huh. Interesting. I've not heard that as much. That's interesting. I think what I've heard more of is maybe not that so much as, well, my love language is words of affirmation, and even though your love language is quality time, I can't give you that because mine is words of affirmation. So that's how I'm going to love you. So maybe we're saying the same thing, but I've heard that more like I'm loving you the way I know to be loved, and I can't love another way. Well, the reality is, and I think you would agree with this, Cece, is that, we've all experienced in all ways the feeling we get from all 5 love languages. So you're out of your mind. You're being, I don't know what the word is, but you're being silly if you think you can't compromise and love in all 5 ways. You just have to remember.
I think it's selfish. It's selfish and self-centered. If you know your partner's love language, okay, for instance, if this gentleman knows her love language is a certain thing and he's not giving it to her, she needs to not be with him. 100%. Because if he's not willing to, and we're not talking about compromising, we're talking about loving someone enough to do something that makes them happy. You deserve better than that, right?
Yeah.
And so if someone tells you, well, I'm not doing this because that's not what I do, then fine, go do that with somebody else, right?
We're not talking about getting whipped or something like that.
Yeah, because you need more. You need more than that, and you deserve more than that. So yeah, move on. Right. I would say move on from that relationship. Due to trauma and my past gifts, my past gifts are hard. Unfortunately, because the world has become overwhelmingly materialistic, people use gifts and money to manipulate feelings.
Yeah, that's a challenge for me too. So I'll tell you, it's funny. True. Very true. So I probably shouldn't have even done this, but there was a woman I was friends with on Facebook, and she said, "I don't have a Valentine," and she wasn't even really my type. I was just being nice. I was having a Tuesday, and I said, I got you. I'll be your Valentine. This was a couple months ago. And she said, she goes through, she likes all my photos. Okay, that's nice. And then she comments, well, I'll tell you what, getting a helicopter ride through the city wouldn't be terrible. And I'm going, who do you think you are? Like, who do you like? And so I commented, it's funny too. I got blocked for this. I said, while I appreciate that's probably a fun night, I said the people in my circle understand, because I've been there, right? I've done the cruises. I bought Nikki, my ex-fiance, 2 engagement rings because she didn't like the first one. Like fancy dinners at steakhouses, all that kind of stuff. Can I do it now? Sure. Am I going to? Not until you've earned it and earned my trust. Not to earn the dinner, but not until I know I can trust you. So I said, while I can appreciate that, I said, the people in my circle know that my heart is just as valuable as my wallet, if not more so. So I am much more excited about spending time in sweatpants, ordering takeout with somebody. That's how I enjoy my time with someone. And she probably thought I was calling her a gold digger, and I really kind of was calling her a gold digger.
Well, she is a gold digger. I mean, just say what it is. I mean, come on, you don't ask somebody for a gift. That's if your love language is gifts. You don't say, okay, well, my love language is gifts, and I expect this. That's not the way it works. I should have said, well, my love language is physical touch. So when you give me some physical touch, I'll give you the helicopter ride. It's not, so that would have been a lie. Push her out, but no, I don't. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the case. And I will say that that my boyfriend took me on a cruise at the very beginning of our relationship.
I remember that. You told me.
For my birthday, and he did that, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're spending so much money. I was like, so taken back by that. But he really wanted to, number one, spend the time together. And he, I just thought it was a really sweet thing to do. But
sounds really sweet.
The reality is that it wasn't the spending of the money or such an extravagant gift that made me really fall for him. It's the caring and the kindness and the gentleness and the communication that we have that made a huge difference. So, the gifts might be his love language, but but the other is mine.
Well, isn't that the cruise though? The cruise is a gift of quality time. It's a gift. Mm-hmm. There's some touching at the cruise, right? Maybe not words of affirmation.
He's trapped.
Right? Yeah.
And that's what I said to him. I said, you want to be trapped with me for like a whole week?
That's funny.
So, but yeah, no, absolutely. Let's see. Do we cover all these? I believe learning.
I think Brianna has one more at the bottom there. That's
Okay.
huge. Gifts is my number one love language.
Do we get that one?
It's been abused so much. Yeah. So interestingly enough, I would say with both my marriage and my engagement, I used gifts as a crutch to hide the fact that I wasn't giving of myself. So with my ex-wife, I definitely would bring home. I remember specifically, and she knew that she was one of the most understanding, just an incredible human being. I missed her birthday because I was on a business trip, and I could have changed the flight and come home a day early and made it, but like traveling made me very anxious, and I really had some work to do. So I stayed in Michigan, and I stayed on the business trip. And then when I got home, what I did was I bought her a nice diamond bracelet from the mall in Michigan, which I mean, I don't know if that was the wrong thing to do, but it seemed like very dirty, like I didn't give you what you really wanted, which was me. So I got you this bracelet. But I did that. I did all with Nikki, with my ex-fiance. I would get her gifts constantly because I was, first of all, in fear that she didn't want me. And second of all, just I knew that was her love language. So it was just easy for me to love her that way because it just was. But you find that a lot. Where you see that a lot, Brianna, and I'm not insinuating this is what happened with you by any stretch of the imagination, but you see a lot of men, I can only speak to men, they buy you a gift like on their way to their mistress, like they distract you with the gift on their way to do something that they know is not. And then that's kind of what Shariva said as well, due to trauma and past and manipulating your feelings.
Yeah.
So
I remember my ex used to do that. He'd go on a business trip and then he would, do like what I call the check-in call, and he would call and then I wouldn't hear from him again for a long time. And then on his way home, he'd hit he'd get the gift shop, right?
Yep.
And he'd buy something that was just meaningless, right?
Yep.
And then he'd give it to me thinking that he's all okay. Well, one time he just must have grabbed the t-shirt, not realizing what it was. And he gave it to me and it was like a child's t-shirt. And I was like, how can I wear this? I was like, what's up with that? I mean, did you really think I was that small?
Right. Yeah.
So it gained him no points whatsoever, and so, yeah.
And we know the check-in call. I'm not going to say that there was infidelity in your marriage at all. That's none of my business. But we were talking about that the other day. We were talking about the check-in call. Mm-hmm. Men will do this. We could do a whole show about this. Maybe we will.
Yeah, we probably should, because that is, I think, the most painful.
Yeah.
Call
men will do a check-in call before they go out, because they know when they go out, they're going to do something that their partner wouldn't approve of. Mm-hmm. So they do the check-in call. So you got your quality time with me, and then I'm going to go do my thing. Now, I will say this about myself. I do the check-in call because sometimes I put my phone away for a couple of hours, or I just don't. I'm going to sleep, that kind of stuff. So I'll call you before you call me and lose out on me. But back in the day when I was married and I wasn't the best husband, I did the check-in call because I knew that was the thing to do. So really slimy. Even today, I feel slimy just saying it, to be quite honest, with you.
Yes, and you should.
Right,
ladies?
Yeah.
We'll beat you up on that one.
let's give you a little break, Cece, because we've got the barbershop coming up in about 10 minutes, and I know that you're exhausted. Let's get you some water and some Dayquil. You've been watching the Boy and Girl Show. I want to thank you, Cece, for your energy, which is, you had so little energy to give, but you gave so much. So thank you for that. Thank you to everybody who continues to engage with us. We really do love, this is the show that we like to do. We love to do the show where everyone's talking. It's not, you can only learn from 2 people here. Let's learn from 10 people. So thank you for that.
So yeah, we thank you so much for all your comments. I mean, long comments that you've given us. It's very touching, and, and watching the show, we do appreciate it. So yeah, absolutely. Awesome. We do them for you. And if there's a particular subject that you'd like to hear about, you'd like to talk about, we'd love to do that. So just let us know what it is. My email, if anybody ever wants to email me, it's goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. I'd love to love to connect with you. And then I'm on Facebook. So if you want to connect with me on Facebook or any of the other platforms, I tend to not do as much like you do the Instagram and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, I am on Facebook if you want to connect with me on that. But we love you and thank you so much for giving of your time and all your comments and support. You know, it means a great deal to us.
And we'll see you all in 10 minutes for the barbershop.
Yeah.
Thanks,
all right.
everybody.
Bye.